welcome to It's an Inside Job BiteSize Fridays, your weekly dose of resilience, optimism, and well-being to get you ready for the weekend. Now, each week, I'll bring you insightful tips and uplifting stories to help you navigate life's challenges and embrace a more positive mindset. And so with that said, let's slip into the stream. Hey folks, I'm glad you can join me for another Bite-Size Friday. I'm your host, Jason Lim. So in today's episode, we are featuring Anakin R. Day. I went back into the archives and dug up Season 4, Episode 19. And in today's Bite-Size, we're going to be discussing the essential elements of creating a culture that fosters continuous improvement and innovation within organizations and companies. Anakin will be sharing with us 5 important points. The first is the importance of embedding innovation within the culture rather than treating it as a separate entity. Second, how psychological safety and trust are crucial for fostering innovation. Third, the impact of common purpose and a collective mindset on driving innovation. Fourth, the necessity of flexibility and resilience in an innovative culture. And finally, last but not least, the strategies for balancing individual contributions and collective goals. So with that said, let's slip into the stream.
I've been working with culture on the inside of large companies for quite a few years. I was part of Tandberg, which was a huge technology success company with a very, very strong focus on culture, as strong as it actually hired me as its chief culture officer. And this was back in 2002. That was long before most people talked about, the importance of culture. And my job was to help build the company to be able to do extraordinary things, grow while keeping our values, and become the world leader in technology, in video conferencing that we were aiming to become. And it was all about innovation. But the interesting thing is we never talked about innovation. So, it's a little bit like the fish never talks about water. We never talked about innovation because that was everything that, we stood for. It was all about challenging ourselves, thinking new, growing, learning, failing, trying again, and not letting limiting beliefs stop us for anything. And so I've been asked many times about innovation culture and the innovation culture that I helped build in Tandberg. And that made me just think that I very rarely use the word innovation. I talk about culture, but it is about creating a culture that enables innovation. So that's kind of how I talk about it. But yes, you're right. I also have a very, I'm passionate about innovation as such, but I don't think I use that word as much either, but I definitely do live by it. So, yeah. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, no worries. Well, maybe I'd like to kind of maybe start there. I mean, you've come from obviously a culture of Tandberg originally that didn't have to use the word innovation because it was in its DNA as a company. From your perspective, how would you operationally define innovation? What is an innovative mindset?
Well, I think in order to create an environment that allows innovation, it has to be very trusting. It has to be very free. It has to allow people to come up with crazy ideas and not being afraid to be ridiculed or not being blamed if they make mistakes and all that. So it's very much about creating a safe environment. We talk a lot about psychological safety, which I think is crucial in order to have that. Trusting relationships. It's about having a common purpose that everyone kind of knows why they're there and what they're working towards. And I think the most dangerous thing you can do if you want to have an innovative culture is to limit people, like also in the way they are organized or what they're asked to do and all that. So very often you see companies where you have, over here is the innovation department, like you guys do innovation, the rest of you do the work. But I believe like if everyone in the whole company knows that, okay, we're here to do something extraordinary and we all need to look at all the time how we can do things better, differently, how we can take chances just to become like the best version of what we can be as a team, as a company. So for me, it always boils down to culture. It's the environment that you create And without that kind of environment, it's very hard to make real innovation happen. And I know this because I've seen a lot of companies that are trying to figure out how to become more innovative and creative. But I always tell them, if you're not willing to do the hard work, which is actually creating a place where people dare to be innovative and they are inspired to be innovative, that's going to be a hard nut to crack. So,
innovation for me, there's a number of adjectives I could assign to that, such as change, such as creativity, such as curiosity. But an important element, I think, is also conflict. I mean, if we can come up with innovative ideas, but sometimes we can become so enamored with our own idea that we stick all our eggs into one basket. And if we don't learn to kill our darlings, then we can get so jaded if our idea doesn't float and it sinks. Now, I think part of an innovative culture, from my understanding, and again, this is from a layman's perspective, is that you need to be able to have some level of conflict to discuss ideas, to play with ideas, but to understand that not all ideas will take off, that some will crash and burn, and that we have to some extent kill our darlings. What I mean by that, we can't be so locked in, so enamored on one particular idea because we've invested so much time. And for me, innovation also means there's a plethora of different ideas and that everyone brings in, a spectrum of different ideas to play with. I mean, what's some of your thoughts on this?
Well, I have another great example to you of the first thing you talked about, that you sometimes have to kill your darlings. And this was back in the Tamberg days. And we had, the R&D department, and we're working on lots of different products and solutions and all that, right? And then once in a while, and actually quite often, there could be a team that had worked so hard on a project, and they were so happy, and they were so proud of their achievement, and they've given it all for such a long time, for a year. And then there's like a strategy meeting where you're actually looking at, okay, what is going to be our core products, core business moving forward? And they actually had to kill some of those projects, even though they had gone really well, even though they had this team and they could have worked on it for a year and created something extraordinary. But being able to say, you know what, it was great. You did an amazing job, but this is not going to be part of our portfolio or strategy. So we just have to stop this project. It's a really, really hard thing to do as a leader, and it's a really hard thing to experience as a person who's given their all and their, night and day for such a long time. But then again, you come back to culture, because if everyone's there, they know they're there for a greater purpose. They're there for making the company and the team and these products go out in the world and make it a better world, which was what we really believed, and I still think to a large extent we did in Tamberg, because we were one of the first one who brought video conferencing to the world. But the fact that people then accepted it, and we even had little morning time, it was like a week or two, just chill, work on some fun project before we start on the next one. But everyone understood the reasoning behind it. They respected it. Even though they didn't like it, there was also, thanks to the culture and a common understanding that sometimes that just happens. So yes, you're so right. And I think you said another thing, which is extremely important, and that is you just cannot have egos in such a setting. Because if there's an ego and a person with his own or her own agenda who wants to be there and stand like a shining star and just they go fight to the deathbed to just make this product live on, that it will be of the wrong reasons. So you also need people to collectively buy into, we're here as a part of something bigger than ourselves, and we're doing this together. And it's not about me or you or them, it's about all of us. And I think when you create that kind of culture, you can handle anything. And you talk a lot about resilience. I heard you talk about, and I think that is you create that kind of resilience, that you can take the ups and downs and the challenges that comes along the way because you're part of something bigger.
If you want more, why not go back and listen to the original full conversation with my guest? You will find the link in the episode in the show notes. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll be back next week with my long-form conversational episodes on Monday and the latest BiteSize episode on Friday. And have yourself a relaxing and rejuvenating weekend.